In the heart of winter, there's a place where dreams go to die. A town called Whisper Creek, a name given to it because of the constant wind that howled through the valley, carrying with it the whispers of some forgotten tragedy. I heard about this town from a traveler, a man weathered and worn like an old leather boot. He told me about a house on the outskirts, a Victorian mansion with more secrets than stars in the sky. And then he spoke of the sound that drew him to the house and made him stay. The sound of a child crying. It wasn't your typical sob story. And fourth, its rhythm matching the eerie melody of the crying. It sounded like the child had seen me, like it was trying to warn me to leave. But what was it warning me about? Curiosity and morbid fascination battled within me. Curiosity won. I took a step forward, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. The crying stopped. My breath caught in my throat. As I got closer, I could see that there was no child in the chair, only a faded blanket lying across its lap. The crying continued, though growing louder, more insistent. It was as if the rocking chair was the vessel from which the sound emanated, a ventriloquist's dummy without the master. They were haunting, melancholic, yet strangely compelling, like a siren's call echoing across the sea. I placed it back in the box, its darkness swallowing the last vestiges of light. As I turned to leave, something glinted in the corner of my eye. On the floor, almost invisible in the dim light, was a loose floorboard. As the music swelled, the rocking chair began to move faster, its rhythm matching the lilting tune. Underneath was a hollow space, and when I peered inside, I saw a jumble of bones. They were small, no bigger than a child's. But the sound kept coming back to me, relentless, persistent. It haunted my sleep, invading my dreams, transforming them into visions of despair. I found the house just as I had left it, shrouded in snow, silent and forbidding. But this time, I was prepared. My breath hitched in my throat, my heart sinking. As I walked through the rooms, setting up my equipment, a sense of unease settled over me. It was as if the house itself was watching me, gauging my next move. The crying always stopped when I got close. It was as if the sound itself was aware of my presence, avoiding detection. The traveler had spoken of a tragedy, but I hadn't grasped its full horror. The crying reached a crescendo, as did the music box. The air was thick with a cloying sweetness that made my stomach turn. As I stepped into the room, the ground rumbled, and the eye blazed brighter, fixing me in its icy stare. In the center of the room was a massive pentagram, its points reaching towards a gaping abyss above. I had stumbled upon something ancient, something evil, and it was awakening. My scream echoed in the vast chamber as I turned and fled, the entity's laughter echoing behind me, a promise of what was to come. The sound, the music box, the carving on the wall, they were all part of a trap laid for me. And at the heart of it all, a single eye stared back at me, cold, emotionless. I pressed my palm against the wall, feeling for a give, and when I found it, I pushed, and to my horror, the wall swung inward, revealing a dark void beyond. I explored every nook and cranny of the house, recording everything, hoping for a breakthrough. But the crying remained elusive, appearing and disappearing at will, mocking my efforts to understand it. It was the same symbol that adorned the music box, the one depicting the ritualistic sacrifice. What if the crying wasn't a sound at all? What if it was a signal, a beacon used to draw me to this place, to this very room? I looked around the room, my gaze sweeping across the dusty furniture and faded wallpaper. Then, abruptly, both stopped. Silence descended, heavier now, more oppressive than before. Underneath, nestled in the crook of the backrest, was a small wooden box. It was intricately carved, its surface depicting macabre scenes of what looked like some sort of ritualistic sacrifice. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, a premonition of the darkness that lay within. I slammed the floorboard back into place, the sound echoing in the stillness. Suddenly, I heard it again. The sound that had lured me in, the crying of a child. It was carried on the wind, echoing across the desolate landscape, a chilling lullaby to the dead. I needed to get out, to escape the suffocating grip of the house and the specter of its sorrow. No hiccups, no wails, just an even, chilling cry that seemed rehearsed, like a dirge played on a violin string. When the car finally sputtered to life, I drove as fast as I could. The image of the child's bones seared into my mind. I jerked my hand back as if burned, my eyes darting around the room, searching for the source of the sound. Still, I couldn't escape the memory of Whisper Creek and the house with the weeping child. The traveler had been right. This place had a way of getting under your skin, of worming its way into your thoughts, twisting and turning until your sanity frayed at the edges. I whirled around to find the rocking chair swaying faster now, its rhythm quickening, mimicking the beat of my own terrified heart. The crying was coming from inside the chair, from beneath the blanket. Had it come from the walls, the floorboards, or was it inside my head? The town looked like a graveyard, every house shrouded in white, every window vacant and blind. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, was a music box. It looked antique, its surface tarnished and scratched. I hesitated, unsure if I wanted to hear what awaited me, but curiosity, that insatiable demon, pushed me on. The traveler had warned me about the cold here, a cold that seeped into your bones and lingered long after the sun went down. But it was the sound that kept pulling me forward, whispering promises of a secret revealed. He said it echoed through the empty halls of the house, bouncing off the walls like a lost soul searching for its way out. I parked my car, its engine sighing in the sudden quiet. As I stepped out of the car, the crunch of gravel under my boots felt amplified, the sound of my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. The closer I got to the house, the louder the sound became. It was like walking into a nightmare, one that you knew you shouldn't have entered. I was intrigued. Was it the sound of a tormented spirit or a twisted game played by a human hand? Inside, the air was heavy with the scent of dust and decay. Shadows stretched and danced in the pale light filtering through grimy windows. I could hear my own breathing, each inhale and exhale sounding like a whispered threat. I found myself on the road to Whisper Creek, my car crunching on the gravel, each mile marker disappearing into a tomb of snow. The house came into view, an imposing silhouette against the gray sky. Its windows were like vacant eyes staring back at me, its silence deafening. The front door was ajar, and as I pushed it open, it creaked like a rusty swing, inviting me in. And then I saw it. In the corner, half hidden in the gloom, was a rocking chair slowly swaying back. As I moved into the room, the rocking chair continued its monotonous dance. But the crying started again, more intense now, more desperate. I walked towards the chair, each step echoing in the cavernous space. I reached out and touched the blanket. It was cold, unnaturally so, like touching a corpse. Suddenly, the crying stopped. Then I heard it again, closer this time, right behind me. With trembling hands, I pulled the blanket off the chair. As I opened the box, the crying started again, louder than before, filling the room, drowning out any other sound. I wound the key, and the first notes filled the room. I shut the music box, its final notes lingering in the air like a dying ember. I knelt beside it and gently lifted it. This house, this very room, was a child's grave. As I rushed out of the front door, the wind seemed to whisper in my ear, urging me away. I fumbled with my keys, eager to get away. Behind me, the house loomed, its silhouette a jagged wound against the fading light. Days passed, then weeks. I tried to shake off the experience, to dismiss it as a figment of my imagination, a cruel trick of my mind, driven by a need to understand, to make sense of the chaos that had invaded my life. I returned to Whisper Creek, armed with cameras and recording equipment. I entered the house, determined to capture the elusive sound. Days turned into weeks as I lived out of my car, my obsession growing with each passing moment. Then one day, as I was reviewing my recordings, I noticed something. A terrifying thought struck me, and that's when I saw it. On the wall, almost invisible under a thick layer of grime, was a symbol carved into the wood. I reached out and wiped the dirt away, revealing a faint outline of a door. What I saw on the other side was not of this world. It was a vast chamber illuminated by an eerie green glow emanating from the walls. Then I heard it, the sound that had haunted me for so long. It was coming from the eye, from the very core of the chamber. The crying stopped, and, in that moment I understood. I was no longer the hunter, I was the prey. My blood ran cold as the eye pulsed, sending tendrils of shadow crawling across the pentagram. And so my tail ends not with a bang, but with a whimper. A chilling testament to the horrors that lie in wait for those who dare to seek them out.